Transformers and G.I. Joe fans, and welcome back to another cool toy review. It's been a minute since I've gotten to do a cool toy review, and I am so excited to be back with you guys with another awesome Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover review. Now, the other two I put on our Bay 12 YouTube channel over the past couple of years as those figures came out, and that was the Megatron His Tank and the Bumblebee that transformed into the AWE Striker. Today we are reviewing the new Soundwave that transforms into the Dreadnought Thunder Machine and comes with a carded O-Ring, Zartan, and Zarana. And then Soundwave also comes with a blue version of Ravage, which is kind of interesting because that's also another Decepticon cassette, Howlback, which was originally, I believe, the micro-change release of Ravage before it was, made a Transformer later when Transformers was created. And then I want to say Takara released a Howlback figure in the mid-2000s, which was just a re-release of the original toy, but as a Transformer this time. And Howlback is a cassette and part of the Decepticon Secret Police. So a really cool and interesting cassette, and for those who have been wanting a Howlback figure, I mean, this is kind of a good way to get one. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, you have that two-toned classic Transformers and classic G.I. Joe packaging that's split right in the middle, and then, of course, you can split the packaging apart just like you could with the other releases from this line. On the top, you've got some images of the figures, Soundwave in robot mode, and then in Dreadnought mode with the two Cobra characters that come with it. On the back, you've got some images, once again, of the toys that all come in here, and honestly, for the price that we got this at, this is the best release that they've done so far, especially when it comes to toy value, because we have a Soundwave figure that is fully transformable into a G.I. Joe vehicle, or technically Cobra vehicle. We get two carded Cobra characters this time, so we're up to 3 figures, and Ravage / Howlback, which is fully convertible and fits in Soundwave's chest. This is the best release they've done so far, and I seriously am super, super excited for whatever the next one is going to be at this point. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the packaging. And here is Soundwave out of the packaging, and he looks so good. I think in robot mode, he also looks the best out of the 3 so far. I mean, just so much of his classic character design has shown through in this one. I mean, the same kind of happened with Megatron. And for comparison, here is Soundwave and Megatron standing side by side from the Transformers G.I. Joe crossovers that we've been getting the past 3 years now. And as you can see, they scaled together very, very well. And if I remember correctly, the scaling on these pieces are around masterpiece scale. So for those of you who like to collect larger scale Transformer characters, these fit in perfectly for you. Soundwave is very articulated. Head is on a ball joint. Fully articulated shoulders in and out. Upper bicep joints. Single jointed elbows. No wrist swivel or anything like that, but you can go in with the wrists due to transformation, so that's a thing you can do. Both arms are pretty much the same. You have the twin-barreled Gatling gun right here that fits on the front of the Dreadnought, and it does still have its working mechanical bits, so if you pull the gun belt either way, it will cause both barrels to rotate one way or the other, which is also very cool. I like how they incorporated the big turbo thruster for the back of the Dreadnought as Soundwave's shoulder cannon here. It looks very cool, nice and large, and I think it's just clever how they incorporated that in. And like I said earlier, Ravage does in fact fit, or Howlback does in fact fit in Soundwave's chest here. You push the little button here like you would on a Soundwave toy. And it's not spring-loaded, but chest opens, and there is our little blue cassette here, so we can set him aside and you can close that right up. Soundwave does have a little bit of a backpack. All of these figures kind of do because of the 3 3/4 scale action figure play feature that is incorporated into it. These are the closest thing we have right now to a modern Human Alliance toy line. I like having the doors flared out because it kind of looks like Soundwave has wings. Of course, you can just have those closed. There is a little... Oops, knock that off. There's a little thing right here where you can pull this down, and that reveals some foot pegs for the pack-in figures that you have, which I believe is the same peg size as the original O-ring release of G.I. Joe figures. Now, I didn't open the figures up from this pack because I like to get the more modern versions, the more articulated and better detailed G.I. Joe characters to display with my guys loose. So I didn't open these, just like I didn't open my Baroness or my Stalker figure from the Bumblebee release. So here they are on card. There is Zarana, there is Zartan. They are both hashtag unpunched, as you can see, which is very nice. Mine came in very good condition because they're both packed in there. And once again, just really awesome value with this Soundwave, guys. Do not sleep on this because I know there's a lot of G.I. Joe fans out there who have been wanting these packs strictly for the O-ring carded pack-in figures because, well, they're awesome. They're a great callback. They're very well done. The detail is fantastic on them. They still come with lots of awesome weapons and accessories that the classic releases of these figures came with. They still have their little data profiles on the back, which I really, really like. I love seeing those file cards on the back of G.I. Joe figures. And once again, there's 2 this time, not just 1. And I think his retail price was the same as both Megatron and Bumblebee to start. Or maybe it's just a little bit more, but regardless, value-wise, this is the best release so far, and I can only imagine what the next one is going to be like. Little Ravage here is pretty simple to transform. What you do is we're going to start by pushing these 2 pieces forward. These are what's going to make his little cat mode head. There's a little piece inside the head over here. I missed it at first when I went to transform this guy the first time and was like, there's this weird gap in the middle of his face where his nose should be. I wonder where that is. And then I found it tucked in. So make sure you pull his nose out from the side. I believe it's tucked in on the left side of his face there. And then on the back, you unfold this section right here, which will bring out the rear legs. But before you push his butt together, go ahead and pull out his little tail there from the top, and then we just bring those legs down like so, fold those paws to the front, adjust those legs how you like them. He does have really good articulation here. Next we're going to come down to these shoulders, rotate in on that, bring that paw forward, bring that shoulder down, rotate in towards the front, bring that paw down, and then right here in the middle, bring that up at an angle, bring that head down just a little bit, make those other adjustments to display your little Ravage or Hellback, how you like. And there is our little Blue Panther here, and he's looking really cool. I really like the Decepticon symbols there on his shoulders. He's got one on each shoulder, so the detail on this little guy is pretty good. His eyes are painted. He's got these little red highlight accents on all 4 legs, silver painted rockets like he should. They did a really good job with this figure. Honestly, my only complaint is he's not solid black like a Ravage should be. And while this is not the first time Ravage has been released as a G.I. Joe crossover figure, this is the first time he was released as a transforming figure and in blue. But once again, it's nice to have a good representation of a Hellback for the fans who've been wanting a Hellback or maybe didn't realize Hellback existed, but hey, now you do, and now you might have one in your collection if you've already got a good stand-in Ravage that you like. Ravage also does come with another awesome accessory. He comes with this really cool spiked collar with chain. It fits right over his neck here, so you just slide that on over, and then you can take another Joe figure. I personally like to pair him with Baroness. That's who he was paired with last time he got released in a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, and put that chain in her hand, and there is Baroness leading her pet Jaguar out on a mission. Now, before I mentioned that I usually collect more modern versions of these characters than come packed in with them. So for this one, I did get myself a cool little Zartan here. He's a nice little fully articulated Zartan. I want to say he's from the mid-2000s or 2010s. I'm not quite sure which specific G.I. Joe line he came out in, but very similar to the one that came packed with this guy, except he's a little bit more modern, which is what I was looking for my personal collection. You can still have this guy interact, so you can take him and put him down. He won't peg in because the foot peg size is not the same as the classic O-ring foot peg size, but you can still get him to ride on the back. You can still put his foot on that little foot bar down there inside Soundwave's backpack. You can still get him to hold on to Soundwave right here. You can still put some weapons so he can help Soundwave defend against those pesky Joes and Autobots, and still have him interact. I don't have a modern Zorana yet. There is a Zorana that I'm looking at right now, or currently looking for, that's good and articulated, but I know that is a tough and rare release to get, so who knows, maybe I'll just settle for a Lucy O-ring one later somewhere down the line, but at least I have a good Zartan so you guys can see Zartan interacting with Soundwave. Transformation for this Soundwave is pretty simple and straightforward, and honestly, I think Soundwave not only looks the best in robot mode, but vehicle mode, I think he looks the best in as well. I feel like Hasbro really learned some lessons from the initial release of Megatron and then later Bumblebee when they moved on to Soundwave, because Soundwave definitely has some less hollow bits and just extra clunky clutter bits that hang off of him than Megatron and Bumblebee does. I mean, while he does have some good big kibbly parts like the fronts of his vehicle mode, it's still significantly less than Megatron, especially since his backpack fits on his back much better than Megatron's, who's, as you can see, just hangs off quite a lot. So, transformation, like I said, pretty simple and straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take off his accessories first, take off his shoulder cannon, take off his mini guns right there, and then you can push his head into the torso like so. You can turn it around. You don't need to. He's not going to have visible head syndrome because this whole section right here is going to get covered. Next step is to do the arms. What you're going to do is you're going to straighten out the arms all the way, and you're going to feel a small click. There's a little peg at the back of the elbow that locks it into place to keep it straight, and that's how you want it. So you heard probably that click that time. Fold in those wrists into the arm there, and then rotate the front of the car bits forward on his arms like that. Next, we're going to bring these arms up and rotate these all the way around at a 180 so that it's facing like so. And then you're going to pull up and untab these little shoulder sections right here. Bring this up. Make sure that these little bits of the shoulders are facing forward. You want this little groove, this little bit hanging straight down, because that's going to fit over that little rectangular peg right there. Bring these arms together. You're going to peg them together in the center and then push them into the front of the alt mode until they're fully in place and secured. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the legs right here, and we're going to pull off these little grill sections here. Not a lot of parts forming with this figure, but there is a little bit of parts forming with this figure. And then you're going to take those two little front sections here, and those are going to come together in the middle like so. You got these pegs right here. Those are going to fit right there and plug and sit right there on the front of that vehicle mode. And then we can go ahead and take the little mini guns here, and those are going to plug into the two little pegs that are right there on the center of the arms, securing and holding those arms together even better than they were. And that's pretty much it for the front of the vehicle mode. Now we just have the legs to do. So have this section up and kind of out of your way. It's going to definitely make things easier for you just a little bit. You're going to come over here to this back section and you're going to unfold these couple of pieces right here and click those into place, and that's going to further secure that. Come over to these legs and pull down and split those thighs and have those thigh sockets facing down all the way. Rotate on those ratchets so that this groove is facing out like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to untab this section right here, bring this down, and wrap that over the leg, and that's going to fit over that thigh section I mentioned earlier. Do the same thing over here, untab, rotate, flip up this panel that's going to fill in that middle section, bring that up, and then what we can do is we can tab those knees right there in the center. And before we start pushing anything else into place, you'll notice these seats right here. We want to take these out, untab them from their locked position for his robot mode feet, bring them down, and then ease this whole midsection down. And as you do that, you're going to bring up those knee joints just a little bit, help that articulation work with you into transforming it. Just keep working those sections down. You'll hear some things pop and click into place. And then we can push those seats down so they'll tab in. Tab that middle section right there in the back. Come over here to what these knee covers used to be. Those will also click into place, locking that rear section. And then take our little thruster thing. There's a hitch on the back. We're going to unfold that. That's going to sit straight out. Rotate this down all the way. Take that turbine there. It's going to sit right here in between those legs. So just squeeze it in between, line up that peg. Sometimes a little, there we go, a little tricky to get it lined up. And then you can just push that hitch into place and it'll tab over those two little mid knee sections. And I just realized there was an accessory I forgot to go over while he was in robot mode, but it's pegged right here onto this little fender panel, and that is Soundwave's little combat knife that he comes with, which is a pretty cool little weapon. And you can store it on either side. I just like to have it down right here on the side because especially when he's in robot mode, it looks like he's got it on the side of his leg, which is a pretty cool look. Flip up these two little side platforms, which also have figure pegs on them, and then peg down on these rear two pegs the roof of the vehicle mode. And there's Soundwave in his Dreadnought alt mode, which is really, really cool looking. It is such an odd vehicle. It was an odd vehicle back then, it still is, but it's a very strange and interesting fit for Soundwave. Color scheme wise, I see why they went with it because they didn't change the color scheme of this vehicle to fit Soundwave. This was the color scheme of the vehicle as it came out in G.I. Joe back in the day, for those of you who don't know. And much like the other vehicles that have been released so far, the vehicle mode is incredibly on point compared to the original toy. The way the Transformers and G.I. Joe team have come together to make these really awesome crossovers in 3/3 scale has just been really awesome, in my opinion. And they've done some creative things that I didn't expect them to do. They've made characters, certain vehicles that a lot of fans didn't expect and some fans have criticized about, like Bumblebee being the Striker. I get that that wasn't maybe the best Autobot choice for that design because everybody's looking at it through a G1 lens, and obviously Beachcomber or Sandstorm would have been the best fit for that, but having Bumblebee as a striker was a really cool choice. Having Soundwave as the Dreadnought was a really cool choice, and having Megatron as the Hiss tank was also a really cool choice. And once again, real quick for comparison, here is Soundwave in his Dreadnought mode next to Megatron in his Hiss tank mode, so you can see both vehicles side by side, and being 3 3/4 scale in vehicle mode, they are both very, very large. Now I will say the Dreadnought unfortunately does not fit figures in it as well as the others do. There's just not a lot of leg room in here, so I haven't really seen a ton of images of Zartan and Zarana actually sitting inside and, you know, fitting very well. But once you kind of get him to pop enough of a squat to cram him in there, you can kind of get him sat inside somewhat comfortably, and you can get the door closed and kind of see his head poking out through there. It's not the greatest, it's not horrible, but I definitely feel like there was more leg room in the AWE Striker for other figures, and I mean, there's definitely plenty of leg room inside both Megatron's cockpit and turret section. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's review featuring the new Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, Soundwave as the Dreadnought with a little Ravage / Howlback, and a carded release of an O-Ring Zarana and Zartan, which are really, really awesome. Stay tuned for more awesome Transformers G.I. Joe crossovers, because rumor has it they are working on more. Can't wait to see who they are. Hopefully Optimus is next, because gotta have an Optimus to pair off with my Megatron here. And now we have Soundwave to face off against Bumblebee, which, I mean, are they typically rivals? Not necessarily, but we gotta get that main rivalry now that we have Megatron. There's gotta be an Optimus coming soon. And I'd be willing to bet he's probably going to come paired with Duke. Just seems like that makes the most sense to me, but time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see what Hasbro has in store for us. Check out all the other awesome content here on CoolToyReview.com and like and subscribe to the Cool Toy Review YouTube channel. Check out many more Transformer reviews on the Bay 12 YouTube channel. That's where I do the bulk of my Transformers review content. Like and subscribe and follow us on social media. And check out RebelScum.com, where both Nick and I do all kinds of awesome Star Wars fan-related content. There is daily Star Wars fan content on RebelScum.com, and coming up very soon in the 30-year-long history of RebelScum.com is the first official Rebel Scum Con, June 27th through the 30th at the Allen Convention Center. To book your experience today, go to RebelScumConventions.com. Once again, that's RebelScumConventions.com. Check out our free archival website, CollectorsOracle.com, which for right now has mostly Star Wars collectibles on it, but it's free to use. You can mark things in your collection, mark things you'd like to have your collection, share those lists with friends, family, and social media alike, and it's all absolutely free. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.